Good morgue chat to you. It's Father's Day morgue chat to you. We know what, well, all of you that know me and know my views know exactly how I feel about fathers. So that's why we call this one, Here's to You, Motherfucker. Now it seems to me, my self-taught brain with its logic tells me that the very last generation that deserved to even have a National Father's Day was the fathers of the baby boomers. Ever since then, it's gone to shit. Your parental fucking views on the assets that you put into the community have gone to shit, obviously, through selfishness and garbage. So it seems to me that the baby boomers, which were our parents, people my age, they lost the way. And now I'm not saying all fathers. There's some good fathers out there. But it should be a private, personal thing, the Father's Day, not a national thing, because you just don't fucking deserve it anymore. Alright? Now, in this, it seems to me that the baby boomers lost their way by deciding that the family unit was not the most important thing. Their own fucking selfish lives were the most important thing. That's where the divorce rate started skyrocketing. That's where women were left with their children to provide for themselves, therefore calling on welfare. You, fathers who have done this, were the biggest creators of big government. The big government that you hate that runs your fucking lives. You did it. You put people in need of that by not providing yourself. And raising fucking fucked up kids that had a hard time providing for themselves, therefore they are part of the system also. And that you neglected the upbringing and the well-roundedness of, therefore they got in trouble, got arrested at early ages, became part of the system that we pay for, all of us. The big government that we don't all want. Alright. I'm going to give you a little Father's Day story. Now this is about 6 years ago. I am woken up by a screaming child. We're going to call this 6 years ago, woken up by a screaming child. Now, it's Saturday morning, about 9 o'clock. I'm sleeping in a little bit. It's Saturday, I don't have to work. So, I'm woken up by this screaming little child, this voice that penetrates everything because it is in dire need, obviously. I go outside in my shorts, right off of the bed, go outside, see this child walking around in its nightgown. It's about 3 years old. Hardly verbal in its communication. So, it's crying and walking up and down the street. Boom. I figure, holy crap, nobody's around, its parents aren't around, it's trying to find its parents. So I try to communicate with this child as you would a dog, because this child couldn't really communicate, so you just want to get it to convey its needs. And so I try to find out where it lives. And I walk it up and down the block. I walked it around the block. I'm following the child, telling me, show me which house is yours. An hour we're walking around. This kid out there, no parents looking for it or anything. Finally I get pissed off and say, man, this is bullshit. I'm taking the kid home and I'm calling the cops and finding out where the hell it lives. I grab this kid under my arm, I start taking it home. Kid's still wailing an hour later. Who's walking down the street except some guy with bare feet, you know, freaking right off of the mountain of Kentucky or something, And he starts running at me saying, "Hey, thanks a lot, that's my kid," you know, fucking. I'm like, who the fuck are you, and why was your kid out? Why am I dragging around for an hour without seeing your ass looking for her? And he's like, well, we were sleeping and the kid just got up and walked out of the house. That's fucking inexcusable, man. I handed him his kid, I called him a piece of shit and told him that he's lucky that I didn't beat his ass right in front of his fucking kid. Alright, enough of that story. That's the end of it. That's all there was. Oh, the guy fucking, later on I go over to the party store and I find out that he put a free 6-pack on his tab for me. Oh boy, well, good for you. You know, your child wasn't mutilated by a car or an animal or anything, or a human predator, but you had the good sense to give me a 6-pack for finding it. Alright, now, you promote the big government, you put the people on welfare. You know what that comes down to? It's called social irresponsibility. You have a kid. Anybody who has a kid has to take social responsibility for the upbringing of that kid so that it doesn't become a menace and a useless piece of crap milking off the teat of the government. In other words, it cannot fend for itself. You know, and one of the things that really bring this to light is fucking Maury Povich. Maury Povich. Some guy who used to be actually what the hell was he? Freaking commentator of The Finest Pint on some 60-minute show or something like that, fucking Inside America. And now he's come down to only doing paternity tests. Because there's guys having children all over the fucking place that don't own up to their responsibilities, putting more women on welfare. When you can have a whole show, a fucking hour show every day with nothing but, "Who's my daddy?" then guess what? America's really fucked up. Now, I am not the best parent in the world. I'll be the first to admit that. Because I drink, I smoke, I use profanity, I bitch at everybody about everything that I see wrong. I'm outspoken, whereas I should be politically correct for my child's sake, but I don't. I tell her the truth. And the way that I defeat this inadequacy, this lack of my own parental skills, is by doing other things better. I make sure she has food every day. I cook for her. I make sure she is healthy. She has vitamin milk every morning. Put her in bed. Wake her up. She's 13. I still do this. Now, you can be a bad parent in some respects, but you can't be a bad parent in all respects. That's what it comes down to. Now, I'll get into personal. My dad, Daddy Jack. I hardly ever say his name. I sure as hell don't use his last name because I found him to be a piece of shit. And that's what I'm finding throughout America today, is you listen to the kids. Who's the one person they wish they could change in their life? Dad. Wish Dad wasn't there because Dad was a piece of fucking shit. And that's sad, man, because I'm a dad, and that affects me. Makes me feel bad about dads. I don't like them. I look at them all suspiciously because I think they're fucks. So, I go over once every few years, piss on Jack's grave, never say his fucking name, never use it. And you know what's really sad is for my child. She's only got one grandparent that I will ever mention to her. She asks, well, who was your dad? And I say, I didn't have one. It was immaculate deception. He was a motherfucker, that's all he was. And that's all he deserves to be. I remember him on his deathbed. I was like 13 years old, same age as my child, except I was smoking back then. He knew it. Probably smell it on me, for Christ's sake. Asked me on his deathbed, rolling over a can.